Hey there yarn lovers, it's Gary and I'm coming to you from my happy place, the Yarn Corner here on Vancouver Island in Canada. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Today is Friday, March the 3rd, 2023 and this is video number 176. How are you all doing? I hope you're well and staying safe. Well, I have to mention crochet because March has been designated the month for crochet, and Hank I've sported with a crochet pattern. I absolutely love this pattern, working it up. It was one of my very first very heavily involved patterns, which I think had around 16 row repeat, but I love the way that it was done on the bias, and it had some fan stitching as well as some sort of like a chevron wavy type kind of undulation within the pattern itself. It was well worth every learn that I had achieved along the way. A little bit of frogging, but I did enjoy it a lot. So the pattern, I'm not sure whether it's free, but I will link where I found it. And it is called the Stormy Seas Scarf, and it's by Dorian Owen. So it has 2 pages of information, so not too involved, and I absolutely loved working on it. It does use a sport weight yarn or a fingering weight yarn. You can choose any yarn, I guess. It just makes the size of the scarf bigger or smaller depending on what kind of yarn you use with hook size. And what I'm wearing is a knit pattern that I worked on from a pattern called The Adventuring Scarf, and it's by Ambah O'Brien, and I'll link that down below. Any patterns that I mention, YouTubers, or if I'm mentioning a yarn store as well, I'll include that down below. As the title suggests, I will be talking about a particular yarn purchase that I made, maybe 2 if I can fit that in, but this will be for Herrschners firstly, and then if I have time, I have some purchases from Michael's that might make the cut. Otherwise, I will do another video of that. So this was purchased back in December of last year, so mid-December, and it was when they were selling their cotton cake mill ends, and I got wind of this by my friend Crystal over a bag a day. I absolutely thought this was a great bargain, so I'm going to do a little bit of a comparison as well with another yarn that I purchased and see the pros and cons, as well as like whether it's a good match to what I've purchased from elsewhere for a lot more than these mystery cotton cakes that I had purchased from Herrschners. So I'm also going to do some shout outs. Now this is because I have been inspired lately with YouTubers that I've watched, and there's so many of them that I've watched that are going to be too long and sort of winded to mention all in this video, but I want to flag a few of them. So in case you're willing to go across as well and maybe get inspired, there are other YouTube channels that I want to just hit on slightly to get some inspiration out there as well. And also what I've been up to in this community. I will touch a little bit on that, but I think what I'm going to do is focus those outings that I've been on in a update video, which I'll put out probably next week sometime, where I've got some works as well that I'm kind of, you know, moving and forging ahead with making some grounds on those. So I'll put all of those into next week's video. My Herrschners order tells me that these mill end cakes were being sold in pairs, and they are the cotton mill end cakes. They don't give me much details apart from yardage as well as weight, and I didn't know what colors that I was going to get, and there was going to be 2 cakes in each of the packages, and each of the packages were $11.99 US currency. So in Canadian dollars, that's probably around $14, $15. So this is how they ship them. Herrschner paired them in a 2-pack like this. No ball band on the cakes, but the package has all the details, and I'll let you do a screen grab if you want to learn a little bit more about them, and I'll try to read I'll try to read backwards. No, I won't, because I'll mess it up. So it's self-striping cotton cake mill ends, 100% cotton, approximately 225 grams per cake, approximately 875 yards or 800 meters per cake. Machine washable, lay flat to dry. It's considered a fine sport weight or number 2 yarn. And they're suggesting here for crochet hook size to be a C2 hook or a knitting needle, US size 2 needle. There we go. So I'll pull them out so we can have a look. Now Herrschners did try and set the colors together in a nice pairing. Out of the 4 that I purchased, 3 of them pair well and 1 is kind of a mix match. So I don't mind because I can use that for something else. I don't have to pair them together. But I've seen other YouTubers, look at those two. This was in package, the first one that I pulled out. But I've seen YouTubers also use these cakes and they have combined them to marl them. Some of the YouTubers have cut them up and to use different colors. And I think that's all great and versatile for these cakes to be used however you want. I am thinking of shawls and doing something more of sort of for stitch definition, as well as something a little bit more finer in the fabric. I don't know whether I will end up combining them just to see how it looks when 2 are marled together. And I'm looking at maybe 1100 meters for the patterns that I've been working on, and this is perfect. It means that I'll be able to, you know, get through 1 cake and maybe a 1/5 of the second cake. So that's all well and truly useful. And I think for $11.99, this is a great value. So I'll put this one aside in the box. And I'll show you my next one that I got. Was this one here. And it's got more of the purpley, gold and lemon colors. And they work well together as well. So it's the color on the outside. It's kind of like a grayish color on this one here. But there is a slight purple grey tinge that I think will work nicely together. Yeah, very, very soft. I'm going to give it a out of 5, 5 being the softest for cotton. I think it's probably going to be a 3.5. Perhaps when it washes up, it might soften up even more. But more on that later. And I have this one here, which is the blues. So this one has blue and white. They will work well together as well, I think. Reminds me of the Mediterranean, like something on Santorini. Just that wonderful royal blue and that, you know, the white sandy beaches that they have. Actually, it's red and black that they have. Red and black on Santorini. But that's what I think of all the whitewash buildings. So there's those 2. And the last one that I'm going to show you are 2 that did not match. But I'm sort of happy in a way because I didn't get the rusty red in any of the ones that I showed previously. So I got this one here, which is a little different from all the others. And another one with blue and orange. And that can go in with the set that had blue and orange in it as well. So they're all different. None of them ended up being the same, but that could be because something happened with the dyeing of the cotton cakes, or maybe they were sort of not the right lengths of the same colors as what was expected to come out. So they've kind of bagged all the ones that had odds and ends or didn't quite make the weighing scale of the cakes that they were trying to generate. And that's how they've come up with all of these wonderful sale points for us to use. So yeah, I wanted to compare next. Let's pick this one because it's kind of an interesting oddity in the ones that I've received. But I'm going to showcase a yarn that I purchased from Pleta Yarns, and that's a yarn store that is online over in Bulgaria. And I purchased 2 cakes here called Yarn Art, and they look very, very similar. I'll take it out of the bag. So this is my Yarn Art. It's called Rose Garden, and that's it there. On the get-go, I can already feel that there's a little bit more yarn in this one because it feels heavier to me. It is considered a 1 fine, and next to each other, I can see a slight difference. So this one is definitely a heavier, like a more fuller, rounder yarn than this one. But the feels very similar to each other. So again, I would rate it for a cotton softness factor in this one is fairly much on par. So it'll be a 3.5. And the sizing is a little thicker for the Herrschners mill ends. And let's take a look at the color that I'm holding right here is 313. The amount of cotton in this is 100% cotton, 250 grams. So it is heavier slightly by 25 grams, and I'm getting 1,000 meters in this cake. So that's because it's also a thinner yarn that I'm getting more for the grammage of, if that's even a word. The price point of this that I purchased from Pleta, I think I did the translation currency conversion over to Canadian dollars, and it was $15. So virtually what I'm doing is I'm getting 2 cakes for the price of 1 cake. When you see those mill-end mystery cakes or sale points from Herrschners, I would say grab them because they are relatively good to the 1 cake that you purchase from. And I waited for a discount on this one too. Okay, so I've touched on the cotton mill-end cakes that Herrschner sells at that fantastic price. I'll keep my eye out for them, and I think I'm going to purchase a few more once I get through this bounty here that I've just shown you. And I'm going to move into talking about some inspirational YouTubers that I've been watching. And some of these I've been watching for a long time, some are new to me, but I wanted to highlight their journeys and how they inspired me to pick up different patterns, look at things differently, and it's been wonderful watching them. There are so many that I do watch, and I just want to say that if I was to pick and talk about all of them, we will be here for hours, so I'm just going to pick a few. And the first one is Crafting Kitty. Now that is Erin and Brian. Erin is the host, Brian is her husband, and I get so much joy out of watching them. They're always effervescent, they're positive, and they make me giggle and they lift my soul up. They do also talk about wonderful yarns and also different projects. Now, Erin is the knitter and crocheter, and Brian is there for support, and also he encourages Erin by talking about mystery yarns that maybe he purchases for her, and it's just a wonderful back and forth with their communications. So I'll leave all these channels down below that I'm going to mention as well. So if you're interested in getting inspired, getting uplifted, then please go across and visit them. The other one here I have is Nina's Knots Crochet, and that's LynnAnne. And LynnAnne has been doing lots of squares lately, crocheting squares for, excuse me, her presents that she's been doing for her, I think they might be her nieces. I'm not too sure. I think that they're her nieces, and they've both got birthdays. There's 2 nieces that have birthdays in March, and I know how it feels to be just crocheting squares. I love how fearless she is, tackling all these wonderful hashtags. She's keeping up with all of them and coming to some learning, some lessons, and I just think that her fearlessness is amazing. So I'm going to keep on watching to see what she gets up to as well. The next one here is Sweet Tea No Shade. Now they're a podcast duo that have been on the YouTube channels for a while. I think even before me, maybe 6 or 7 years, I'm guessing. but they've just come back and they put out a new episode, and I'm really thrilled to see them come back and learn about what they've been up to and look at their wonderful crafts. So if you go across, please do say hi to Scott and John, and they're wonderful. The other one that I have here is Jimmy Does Knitting, and he's quite a new one to me. I haven't watched many of his videos. I think he has 6 or 7 of them out now, but I'm enjoying his adventures. He's an American that's living in the Netherlands, and so a lot of the yarn that he talks about or he gets from Europe, so there's a lot of mention of drops or shepjes. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that, and I'm interested in finding out what he does with his sweaters, because he's very involved with sweater making. And I've been watching wonderful snips of Russ from It's Raining Yarn, and he's building a beautiful blanket right now. He spends around 20 minutes a day putting in little mini hanks and talking about his day. So I really do enjoy listening to Russ. And I think that catches you up on all of the inspiration YouTubers that do knitting or crocheting. I have just recently seen another inspirational video that I think is worth mentioning. And it's when you're wanting to find your passion, this journey of this YouTuber, he does not crochet or knit. Maybe he did for a little bit over the course of the 52-week of exploration, but a director supported his journey and got him involved with all different types of professions to find out what his preferred passion was for vocation or meeting different walks of people. And it's called 1 Week Job is the channel, like not the channel, but the website of this journey. And it explores a gentleman called, what's his name? Sean Aikens. And he is put into every week of one certain year, a different role, from helping out with council to firefighting and learning what his passion could be. It's quite an interesting documentary about what's going on with passion and finding whether or not you got to give something a try, because perception and expectation sometimes stop us from moving forward with an idea, or perhaps maybe we have misconceptions. So the person, Sean, has jumped into these things and tried all these different things out. So I'm interested to find out more about it. I will link the clip down below, which is on YouTube, that talks a little, it shows a little vignette of what's going on. And he ended up being an inspirational speaker about his journey, and I'm yet to discover more about him myself. So I think with that catches up with everything. I don't want to run this too long. The Michaels purchase I'll have to jump into a little later, but I hope that you all stay well, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.